for Princeton Public Schools. I always say, as you can probably tell from the emails you get with me with 50 different exclamation points, that this is one of my favorite events. It's where we get to welcome the class of 2023 to Princeton High School. So as I've said numerous times this evening, we are piloting new software to try and provide live translation of this evening in both Mandarin, Spanish, and additional 50 languages. So I'll take one more second if anybody wants to capture this and download the information to their phone. If you're unable to access it, we are going to provide this. We are filming this evening, and we will have it translated as well. So the goals for our program this evening. Tonight we're going to discuss the program of studies. It's essentially all of the courses that are available here at Princeton Public Schools. So I want to start by saying this evening I'm going to share a ton of information. And I had the wonderful experience of meeting with most of your children as we went to Cranberry Charter School and JW Middle School. And I told them the same thing. We're going to tell you a lot of information, and really this is just to expose you to the high school curriculum, but we're going to have multiple conversations related to this. So I don't want you to feel that you need to sit and take notes. I just want you to enjoy this, to kind of think of some questions that you can have for your counselors when you meet with them in the next few weeks, and really just to kind of get an overview of the high school experience. This is really only the first event of many, many, many more events, getting you acclimated to Princeton High School, and then of course as you go through your journey here. So we will talk a little bit about the courses. We have our supervisors here. I'd also like to give a shout out to Jason Burr, who is joining us from JW Middle School. And my, thank you. And Annie Kosick is also here, our assistant superintendent, so thank you so much for joining us. And then three of my wonderful counselors, Mr. Song, Mr. Velasco, and Ms. Shaw, joined me this evening as I frantically put together our translation services and said, does anybody want to give up their plans this evening and come help me? So thank you again to my wonderful counseling team. So we're going to talk a little bit about the course selection process, the overview of graduation requirements, and that's where people can feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's a lot of information and it's a 4-year plan, but you will work with your school counselors year over year to ensure that your child is meeting those requirements and also getting to take the courses that they really want to out of their high school experience. We'll discuss some content area information. At that point, our supervisors will present about their specific content areas, as well as some athletic information, and then again, we'll go over what course requests are. So, I kind of got ahead of myself. Some important people. So you're going to hear these names quite frequently. Mr. Snyder is our current principal. We have 3 assistant principals here at the high school, Ms. Ciso Stentz, Ms. Baxter, and Mr. Warren. And as you can see on this, they are broken down by alphabet. So you will work with your assistant principal for all 4 years that you're here. We have our supervisors who will be presenting later today. Our English and Social Studies is Ms. Greenberg. Our Mathematics and Business is Ms. Curtis. Our science supervisor is Dr. Cohen. Our world languages and ESL programming is Ms. Russell. Special education is Ms. Riddick. PE and health, Mr. Dubinsky. Mr. Lenahan is our visual and performing arts. And then there's me, Kristina Donovan. So the school counseling department, as I said, will really help you as you move through the next 4 years of your experience at Princeton High School. So we have our counselors. Our school counselors are broken down by alphabet. And again, the concept is that you would work with your school counselor for all 4 years that you are with Princeton High School. Counselors, I call them the multi-tool of a school building. They can tell you everything from what courses you still need for graduation to whether the French fries are good on a Friday. They really can help you through this entire experience, so get to know them. You'll have your first opportunity through the course registration process where you and your child will meet with your school counselor and you can kind of look over the placements as well as different classes. But again, I don't want you to panic. That is just one appointment of many that you'll have with your school counselor. We also have our child study team who help assist our students with special needs, and the child study team works in tandem with the school counselors to ensure that we're meeting all the programming needs of your child. We have a college advisor, a dedicated college advisor, Ms. Lieberman, and that's far, far off in the future, but you will start meeting with your college advisor and be able to attend programming starting in 10th and 11th grade. We have our Dean of Students, who is Miss Diana Ligas. Our Dean of Students is very involved in the transition programming. So that's who attended all of the middle schools with me to talk about our different programming. She also runs all of the clubs here at Princeton High School. And we have over 120 clubs. And I feel like I might have a slide on this, but I'll give you a little preview. We have everything from things that are very serious, like Model UN, to things like the Panini Club, where you try to decide really what is the best panini. In addition to that, we have our SAC and our peer group coordinator, who is Miss Michelle Simborski. She will be starting with us tomorrow, so we're very excited and looking forward to all of the programming. In addition to that, we have our Ideas Center and Service Learning Coordinator, Dr. Dinan. So I did tell all of the students this, because I think this is a phenomenal resource. We have a tutoring center here that's available to our students in almost every single subject. And one of the incredible things about the way that we have now designed our schedule is there is built-in time in the school day, so it doesn't take away from after-school activities, it doesn't take away from busing or any sort of transportation issues, where your child can receive tutoring for absolutely free. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that and to encourage your child as well. In addition to that, Dr. Dinan runs all of our service learning projects, and we've really tried to, again, kind of flip the narrative on that and have a lot of service learning projects here in the school building. So there are certain days where we dedicate them to service learning, where you'll see students writing letters to vets, packing bags to lunches for children in the hospital. We really want to bring that here into our curriculum as well. Okay, so if you have joined us this evening and you're not from Cranberry Charter or one of the private schools and you haven't registered, or JW, then here is the information for you to register to come to Princeton High School. So appointments will be scheduled in April. They're always after spring break. And at that point, you will be able to meet with your counselor and set up your courses. In addition to that, if you are a new family in the district, our PTO is fantastic in working with new families. They can actually set you up with a family that can kind of help you navigate the process. We will be running multiple events this summer for new families to Princeton High School, again, to help you acclimate and feel part of our community. Okay. The daily schedule. This slide was so much more exciting last year because now we're already about a year through. But our schedule moved from 7:50 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. And that 30 minutes doesn't seem like a lot until you're a 16-year-old student. And then all of a sudden, it means quite a bit. It means you can eat that extra Pop-Tart. It means that you can come to school and meet with your club, or maybe you just sleep. But either way, our students are thrilled. In addition to that, we have a rotating schedule. So our schedule allows for longer and shorter periods. We have a 6-day cycle. But in addition to that, our morning classes on the full day and our afternoon classes rotate. It sounds confusing. I promise everybody gets to class and figures it out. I think the people that struggle with it the most are us, the adults. The kids figured it out pretty quickly. But why is that so important? Many of our students are student athletes. So for them in the afternoon in a traditional schedule, if they were in season, they may miss that 8th period class multiple times. Now when the schedule is rotating, they won't miss the same class each afternoon. Or for your student who 8:20 is still too early, they don't have to have that difficult science class or math class every single day first period. So it really, again, allows for that flexibility. In addition to that, we built in longer periods of time for deeper exploration. We're really looking, again, at taking all of the things that students are passionate about outside of the curriculum and putting them into the curriculum. So that's the time that the science teacher can take the student out into one of our basins and take water samples because they have that longer period of time and then test them. It is where our language department can perhaps write music and perform to one another or do small groups. It's where our English department can create fantastic projects and go and present them in another space. It really builds in that extended time to have that deeper, more engaging and meaningful education for your students. So those are our cycle days. And then there's our infamous break. So when I came to work for Princeton Public Schools 8 years ago, and they told me that they let all 1,600 students have lunch at the same time, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But it works. And it works really, really well. Because if you're the student whose school experience really is about connecting with other people and you don't have a single class with one of your friends, there is a time every single day that you can see that person. And that alone is phenomenal. In addition to that, we're building capacity in your students to make good decisions, to join clubs, to be involved, to talk to a teacher, to go outside and play Frisbee. It's really a nice bonding time for your child that allows them to take a break and spend it with people they care about rather than just a cycle that we randomly assign. So I really do think that break is one of the most fantastic things about Princeton High School, and I think the students feel the same way, which is why they earn that responsibility and have kept break. Okay, graduation requirements. So there's a lot up there, but like I said, we will review it with you and your child every year. So I'll do a quick overview. Essentially, students need 4 years of English. They need 3 years or 15 credits in social studies, inclusive of 2 years of United States history and 1 year of world history. They need 15 credits or 3 years of mathematics, which must include curriculum surrounding Algebra 1 and geometry. They need 15 credits in science, which includes biology, and then you have a choice between chemistry, physics, or environmental science for your others. 4 years, and technically every year that you're in high school, you need PE and a physical education as well as health, and 1 year or quarter is driver's ed. 5 credits, which is 1 year of world language, but most of our students take 4. You need 5 credits or 1 full year of visual and performing arts, 5 credits in 21st century life and career skills, which are our practical arts, and 2.5 credits or 1 semester of financial literacy. I told you it was a lot of information. That's why we go over it every single year. Your child will also be involved in peer group in 9th grade, community service in 10th grade, and then proficiency on state exams. We're going to avoid that topic this evening. And a total of 120 credits. We'll go quickly over this slide. So this is NJSLA, pending what the state lets us know. Testing will probably be in April. And if we need any remediation or assistance, we will add an additional fall block. The most important thing about this slide is that we will make sure that your child meets the necessary requirements to graduate Princeton High School with a public school diploma. So out of this entire screen, that's what I need you to remember, that your child will meet proficiency and will graduate through one of the various pathways. And we're working very closely with our school counseling department to identify each child and what they need to be successful in this. So what is the typical freshman schedule? So I tell the students, the more kind of prescribed courses they take at the beginning opens up the curriculum later on. So while, again, I don't want to scare you and think about 4 years, as you're looking at that program of studies, if you notice that there's a class like great books or public speaking or an art course or something that your child is very, very passionate about, you want to ensure that they're meeting those graduation requirements. So maybe senior year, your future historian can take 3 history electives or even 4 history electives. So I do think it is smart to kind of have an eye on the future. And so why I say it opens up, it's because remember, some of those you only need 3 years for, like your history class or math class. So if you make sure that you meet all those requirements earlier on, you really do open up your course study later on. So for a typical freshman schedule, there's English 1. An important note here is there's typically a summer reading assignment, so you will want to check our updated website in the upcoming months for that reading assignment. United States History 1, Physical Education and Freshman Health, Science, and we'll talk a little bit about that later when we go into the subject areas, Mathematics, World Language, and 2 electives. And those 2 electives can be 2 full year or 4 semester, or any combination of that to meet the 10 credits. So your child can take a free period here at Princeton High School as well. That is an option. Many of our students, when looking at their full catalog, think about taking a free period. For example, if you are a 3 varsity sport athlete, so 3 seasons, and taking 2 accelerated courses and perhaps you have a community service group that you're very involved in, a free period really might make sense to you. A free period, and this is often a question I'm asked, is not listed anywhere on the transcript. So it's simply you either have 7 courses listed, or you have 8 courses listed, or if you have different semester electives, it could be different up to 10 listed. It does not say anywhere on there that there's a free period. So you probably have heard from many of your teachers, or at least your child should have, that a lot of the recommendations determine their class placements coming from 8th grade into 9th grade. So that changes a little bit as you move into the high school, where you start moving to grade prerequisites, and all of that is in your course of program of studies. But right now, I told our students they have a great opportunity. Let's say they didn't have such a great fall semester. Sometimes it happens. Maybe it was just difficult to kick in or understand what the teacher was looking for, but let's use biology as the example. Biology is their passion. It's their favorite subject. They were dissecting playthings early on. They were making slime every single weekend. Like, they love science. Now is the time to talk to your teacher and say, this is my favorite subject. I really, really, really would like to take biology accelerated. What is it that I need to do to show you that I'm able to meet that challenge? So again, there's plenty of opportunities still. And then the other piece is you may look at the placements and say, I want to be able to play sports, or I want to be involved in the play, and I also have a community service group, and I have a part-time job where I babysit. It might not make sense to take all accelerated or take those more advanced courses. And the lovely thing about Princeton is there's no tracking. You can go up, you can go down. It's really what you're passionate about, and that's what we want to encourage our students. Follow where your dreams are. Follow where your passion is in academics. So again, I said balance. It really is important for you to know your child and for your child to start to be reflective upon their own choices. What is it that really gets them excited? Because that's the area that we want them to stretch and be creative and really engage in it. And then other courses, yes, we have to take, but we don't always need to push ourselves where we're not interested or not passionate. Okay. The fun stuff again. All right, so there are over 120 clubs run at Princeton High School. As I said, there's everything from very, very serious to very, very silly. All of our clubs have varied levels of commitment, which is also really nice. So one club might meet at break every other Friday. Another club, like Yearbook, meets all year round for a few hours on a Wednesday. So again, knowing kind of what level of commitment that you want. There will be a club fair for your students around the 3rd week of school, where they will be brought down by their groups, and they will get to meet all the different clubs and find out what they're interested in. And what I always, always, always tell students is sign up for anything and everything you're interested in with a club and go to one meeting. And then if you don't like it, you don't ever have to go again. They are not going to shake you down in the hallway and say, why did you come to the one meeting and never come back? But what it does is maybe you stretch a little bit outside of your comfort zone. You go to a club and say, I love the Quidditch club, and Johnny from social studies in 8th grade is in there and said, I love the Quidditch club too. And all of a sudden you have a new friend and a new way to kind of get connected to the school. So again, it's really important to try them out. School is so much more than just academics. It really is a community, and I don't know that any school really exhibits that as well as Princeton High School. The other piece with that we told all of your students when we were there, visit your neighbors. Maybe you don't play the cello, but one of your friends does. Go to the orchestra concert, support them in that, and then maybe they'll come to your tennis game. So the idea is we're trying to build an entire community here where we're all doing things together, supporting each other, and encouraging dreams and passions. And the other thing about high school is I feel like this is a safe place, especially within the clubs and extracurriculars, to try something that you might not have tried before. So maybe you're not comfortable taking a studio art course, but join the art club and find out. Maybe you do have a passion for oil paintings that you didn't know that you had before, but it's a wonderful and safe opportunity to try something out. So again, it starts here, but there are many other paths as well. So some of those paths that we like to discuss right from the beginning is there are technical programs. Many of the technical programs that we partner with through Mercer are 2-year programs. So again, it's something that's very important if your child is interested in participating, that they meet those graduation requirements early on, because that is one of the requirements in order to go to one of those programs. Programming ranges from everything from healthcare programming, traditional like auto mechanic, to computer programming. There really is, it runs the gamut nowadays. It's very, very different than kind of what I think of in my age group as a vocational school. Some of the offerings really are just groundbreaking technology. In addition to that, there's 3 academies that are all 4 years. So if that is something you're interested in right now, that includes the Health Science Academy, the STEM Academy, and the Academy of Culinary Arts, and again, these are through the technical school, you need to let your school counselor at your respective school, so either at JW, at Cranberry, or at Charter, let them know now because those applications are due. So again, we talked a little bit about the shared time technical programs. Those are your 2-year programs. They are open to juniors and seniors, and like I said, it has everything nowadays, from auto to culinary, architecture, graphic design, computer programming, really audio technicians. It has a lot of different offerings. In addition to that, there's pre-engineering, music technology, and a bunch of other programs that we've partnered with where you can actually earn 13 college credits through Mercer County Community College, which is a wonderful opportunity for our students. And something that they always like me to remind, it's a myth that if you go to MCTS that you would not be able to get into a 4-year college. In fact, many of their pre-professional programs have direct connections and you have internship experience when you're applying to college, and it actually could give you a wonderful opportunity because of all of that additional technical experience. We also have a partnership with Princeton University, which is typically open to our students, most of them in their senior year. If you have exhausted the curriculum in a certain subject and meet their criteria, so this is their criteria right now, and I'm very specific with this because it is determined by the university, they will have an interest meeting where if you exhaust curriculum, you can take a class at Princeton University. We also have our dual enrollment program with Mercer County where you can take psychology or criminal justice, and that's hosted right here at Princeton High School, and you do receive college credit for those classes, and they are listed on your transcript. So we get a lot of questions about advancing courses. There are approval processes in place with certain deadlines. You will want to look at the website in the upcoming weeks. Typically, those are published in March. If you're looking for an advancement in science or in math, it's really important that you have a very real discussion with the teacher of what that would look like, as well as the supervisor. They will look at all different pieces, including history, performance, interest. All those sort of pieces are important for consideration. And this is applicable, again, for world language, science, and math. Sometimes there's a verbal component where you'll have a conversation to really discuss what that means. A little notation that's pretty important. If somebody is looking to advance with the thought of attending Princeton University, at this time you are not able to advance over a course and take a university course. You truly have to have exhausted our curriculum. So just be very cautious. That's why we say have lots of conversations, talk to teachers, talk to people. And I don't know why you would want to leave Princeton High School anyway, because I think it's so wonderful. So future considerations. There are various electives from each department. Again, this is your time to shine, to try different things. Take that public speaking course. Take a class in art and see if you like it. Pick up that instrument. Try something just a little maybe outside of your comfort zone, because it's a great, safe environment to try something new. There's also a 3-year research course that we'll talk about a little bit when we go into the science department. So if you are really interested in science, we have a cohort program that begins in your sophomore year. So you will want to talk to your biology teacher when you join us in the fall. And through that research project, it's a stepped project where it starts with very kind of intense supervision and classroom techniques, and it kind of graduates into you creating your own independent research project. It's really quite incredible. We also have our senior project, which is for our seniors, where they design their own project and partner with a community member, and then it culminates in either an event or a speech or some sort of publication. Again, another way to really pursue a passion that may not be a traditional class. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to our various departments. I'm going to start with Ms. Greenberg.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Steph Greenberg, Supervisor of Humanities here at Princeton High School. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. If you are already starting to feel overwhelmed by the amount of information and potential decisions you will have to make, then I have good news. You have very few decisions to make regarding freshman year English and social studies. All freshmen are enrolled in English 1. They then move on to English 2, sophomore year. Both English 1 and English 2 are survey approaches of world literature. When 11th grade rolls around, students will have to choose between AP English 3 or English 3. The English 3 curriculum focuses on American literature. And then 12th grade as well, English 4 or AP English 4. That course primarily focuses on British literature. One decision that you might have to make is that students are sometimes recommended for what we call a plus class. So that will exist for both English 1 and English 2. 8th grade teachers make those recommendations based on students' performance in 8th grade. They're assessing whether students might benefit from supplemental support. The plus classes are a wonderful opportunity to get direct assistance in a small class setting from a teacher, from an English teacher who teaches English 1. So if you are recommended for that, or if your child is, then I'm happy to have a conversation with you if you have questions about it, but I would strongly urge you to consider it. We have wonderful electives available in both English and social studies. I have an asterisk on this slide next to the ones that are available to freshmen, so creative writing, filmmaking and journalism and media studies and multimedia special effects, along with video production, are courses that sort of take more of a journalistic approach to the English department, with obviously opportunities available for kids who are interested in sort of more of a media approach and actually learning how to produce films and videos. A lot of our students love those classes. We have public speaking, and then contemporary lit, film appreciation, great books, and philosophy. I know there is no asterisk next to philosophy, but I was just having a conversation with my philosophy teacher earlier today, and he asked me to tell you that, yes, it's technically not open to freshmen, but if they're really interested, then we can make an exception. So if there are any budding philosophers out there, then feel free to head into the philosophy class. Switching over to social studies now. Social studies is also a fairly linear department. All freshmen are enrolled in U.S. History 1. After, partway through freshman year, when students are making choices about sophomore year, they'll have the option between U.S. History 2 or AP U.S. History. U.S. History 2 focuses primarily on the 20th and 21st century. AP History sort of heads back to the beginning and moves more quickly and more deeply through all of it. 11th grade is the World History year, so World History or AP World History. Only 3 years of social studies are required for graduation, so students who are very interested in continuing their social studies education often head into either AP European History or AP Government and Politics their senior year. Or seniors who aren't interested in an additional AP class, maybe they have 4 already, or maybe they're not interested in them at all, which is fine. Sometimes elect to go into electives their senior year, and those electives are available to 10th and 11th graders as well. Racial literacy and justice is a fairly new elective that is a really exciting opportunity for students who have interest in social justice issues, particularly pertaining to race, can dive deeply into those issues in a seminar format. We have contemporary crises and current events, which is a class that really focuses on current events that are happening right now all around the world, with all sorts of sources that feed into the curriculum for that class as well. We have some wonderful regional electives, so if kids have a particular interest in understanding the Middle East, for instance, in current times and historically, then they can take a semester-long course just on the Middle East. And then we have a few year-long electives, so human behavior and accelerated sociology for students who are interested in those as well. I think at this point I will turn the program over to the next department. Thanks so much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Curtis, and I am the Math, Computer Science, and Business Supervisor. I'm very excited to meet everyone. You're all new as well as I am, so I'm learning all of this information about all the other departments right along with you, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you. So first I want to start out to explain what happens when you are entering in as a freshman, and then we'll move into some of the possible pathways that they can take in mathematics beyond then. So if you are entering into our district from another school district or a private school where you are currently enrolled in a math course that would be called Math 8 or Integrated Math, then the course that you would be enrolled in as a freshman coming in would be Algebra 1. If you are currently enrolled in 8th grade in an Algebra 1 course, then as a freshman at PHS, you would be enrolled in geometry. If you are someone that finds math to be not your easiest or not your favorite subject, and you would benefit from some support, we also have plus classes at the high school that you can take concurrently with Algebra 1 and Geometry and Algebra 2. And your teachers will be discussing those recommendations with your children. Moving forward from that, if you are in an accelerated program and you are currently in Algebra 2 as an 8th grader, when you come to PHS, you will be enrolled in Geometry or Geometry Accelerated. Okay. So I'm a visual learner, so I really like this representation of our typical progressions. So if you take a look at this chart, you can see that in the left column is where, if you're starting currently in 8th grade in an integrated math program or a Math 8 program, that's your typical progression through to your senior year. Algebra 1 as a freshman, geometry as a sophomore, Algebra 2 in 11th grade, and then you have some choices after that in your senior year. And that's where some of our math electives come in. We have Intro to Statistics, Discrete Math, Pre-Calculus, an Applications course where you're really focusing on problem solving. If you're coming in from JW, where we have either Algebra 1 Part 2 or Algebra 1 Core, which is a full year of Algebra 1 course, your freshman year would be Geometry, Algebra 2 in 10th grade, and then you would have some choices for AP. And then, of course, your accelerated track, Geometry Accelerated in your freshman year, Pre-Calculus your 10th grade year. You can choose between AP Stats, AP-AB, or BC, and then in your senior year is when you can get to multivariable calculus and linear algebra. One of the most common questions that I've received from parents is, what math classes can you take concurrently, or can you double up in? You may double up with geometry and Algebra 2, but there are criteria and prerequisites for that. You have to meet those that are explained in the program of studies, okay? And you can also, in your junior and senior year, double up with statistics and calculus. And again, you have to meet those prerequisites or those criteria that are in the program of studies, okay? So while these are your typical paths, if you are interested in some possible changes in that path, doubling up might be an option for you, okay?
Sorry, I was just asked to make this bigger. That's
Thank you. Okay. So under the math department is also computer science. And the computer science courses that you choose from in your freshman year can count for your practical art requirement. So the two options that you have are Python programming or computer science principles. I would like to ask Miss Elliott to come up. Miss Elliott is one of our computer science teachers here at the high school, and she will really do a wonderful job explaining the difference between your two options, Python and computer science principles. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Let's look a little bit at the main difference between those two classes. One of them, if you look at the computer science principles, is like what we call a surveys class. It covers a lot of different materials like wireless networks and at the superficial level. 50% of it will be coding, which is computer programming, as opposed to the Python class is strictly computer programming, which is coding, and the language is Python programming. Both of them are full year classes. From the Python, you will go follow directly to the Java class, but if you're taking computer science principles, then you will have to fulfill some requirements to actually move on to the next class, which will be the Java class. So if you have any questions, you can always email me or email Mrs. Guy, who's somewhere around here in the crowd, and so, or Mrs. Curtis, and we'll help you figure out what's the best for your child. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. So she had mentioned if you'd had any questions that you can reach out to either me, Miss Elia herself, or Miss Guy, and we have our email addresses there. And I just want to remind you that the recommendations and placements that your students are getting now are initial placements. We will be reviewing and revisiting those placements at the end of the year. So we are getting the process started, but we're very early in the school year, so we will be looking at them again. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand that over.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cohen. No, I'm just kidding. Unfortunately, Dr. Cohen wasn't able to join us this evening, so bear with me. It's actually a little easier on me because in 9th grade, most students take biology. There are different levels of biology. There is Biology 1, which also includes our co-teaching model or inclusion model. We have a small group biology available for students who need additional support. And we have our accelerated biology curriculum as well. So remember early on when I gave you the example of the student that's always playing with slime, if they're really interested in taking one of these courses, like an accelerated or some sort of other placement, really now is the time to speak to your teacher. So after biology, there are different possible paths. Most of our students tend to go somewhat of a traditional route of taking chemistry as a sophomore, and then either physics or environmental science as a junior. But there are many different paths that a student can choose. In addition to that, Dr. Cohen and myself are very excited to share with you that we have some new classes for 2019 and 2020. So Physics 2, students had no idea what that meant, has now been called Engineering Physics. It's for students that are extremely passionate in physics, and once they have completed taking our standard or AP physics course, they have the option of taking a very engineering-focused course. Forensics, which has always been one of our more popular science classes, is no longer a semester class. It is now a full year. And again, that's so they can go into larger and more in-depth projects. They even stage an entire crime scene with a body. I was told by students, I need to tell you it's a fake body, not a real body. I think I scared some of your 8th graders with that. Where they do fingerprinting, and I mean, it's really like CSI. It's very, very cool. Oceanography and astronomy is now also a full year class, and that's planetary science. And then we have 2 semester courses that are available as well. One is exercise science, and a really exciting partnership for exercise science this year will be the science department and the physical education department working together, and also an engineering course. Now, I want to be clear that this engineering course is a little less physics heavy, so it's a wonderful opportunity for a student who might be a little nervous thinking about the physics that are involved in engineering to try it out and see if it's something they're interested in. And our classes will even be working with a satellite launch with Princeton University in spring of 2020. So recommendations for the accelerated pathway will be reviewed for finalization in April and May. It does challenge students. So really you want to think again about holistically either your schedule if you're here or your child's schedule. What sort of after-school activities your child has, what are the other courses that your child is taking before signing up for that accelerated biology. Because there's also tons of other science opportunities. There's Science Olympiad, Science Bowl, upper-level Olympiad testing, content areas, and others. If you have any questions, Dr. Cohen is your person, and here's his contact information. I'm now going to turn it over to Ms. Russell, who is our World Language and ESL supervisor.
Wait, make sure I push the right button then. It's going to be this one. Hello, so I'm really Mrs. Russell, not Dr. Cohen. My name is Priscilla Russell. I'm the district supervisor of World Languages, ESL, and bilingual programs, and our fairly new dual language immersion program that happens over at Community Park. So, whereas in English and social studies, the choice is pretty simple and straightforward for 9th graders, it's hardly that in world languages. And as you see, its main reason is because we offer 6 different languages here at the high school. And for 5 of these languages, we start at level 1 and we go up through AP, Spanish and French. We have a course beyond that called Latin American Cinema and French Cinema that are just to die for. They're very exciting. They deal with French society and Latin American society and history through film. And in fact, on Friday, we're going to have a filmmaker from Cuba who comes to visit us just about every year, and he'll be working with both our Spanish and our French students. So, as Mrs. Donovan has told you, the state in its infinite wisdom has only a 1-year requirement in world languages. So we want our students to develop communicative competence and confidence, and that doesn't happen in 1 year or 2 years, maybe sometimes in 3 years or 4 years. So as you had heard before, we recommend 4 years of a language. We recommend even 2 languages if people have time in their schedule and have a passion for that. So today I spent the whole day over at John Witherspoon, and I met with every 8th grader there at 5 different times during the day. I brought over about 20, I called them language ambassadors, upper level students from the high school who talked with the kids, and I talked with them also. And I think some of the takeaways that I hope your children had from the students who came, well, several of them said, Choose the language you think you want to study, not what somebody pressures you to study. Choose a language and stick with it so that you can become very, very good. And don't be afraid to try new languages. We have, of course, Japanese and Mandarin, which are Category 4 languages, meaning it takes longer to gain proficiency in them. Not necessarily that they're harder, it just takes a longer time. Don't be afraid to try those here at Princeton High School. So when I talked with your kids today, I told them a couple of things, and I said, and I'm going to tell your parents this tonight also. So one is about recommendations for language. And now we've heard it, this will be the third time tonight, and talking about initial recommendations. That what I said to the kids was that if you're taking Mandarin, Spanish, or French at Witherspoon, at the charter school, or at Cranberry, your teachers have made an initial recommendation for you for next year. And I don't know about Charter and Cranberry when they're going to meet with their students and talk about these, but that will happen soon at Witherspoon. And I told the kids that if they're not happy with their recommendations for next year, they have until May or even longer to do something about it, that it's in their power to decide, okay, I'm going to step up, do my work, participate in class, take my quizzes, get to school on time, and do all that. And then the recommendation will probably change for the better in the springtime. But I said the flip side of that, the not so happy side, is that if you have your recommendation now and say it's for French 3A, and you think, oh, I'm in French 3A, I don't have to do anything, and you shut down from now until the end of the year, in May, students will have disappointment. They'll hear from their teacher, you know, I'm not seeing that you can do this work. I have to change my recommendation. So I promised them that I would be telling you that also, and told them over and over that it's really within their power to decide what they'll be able to do. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Well, anyway, it said that beginning levels of language are open to everybody and to anybody. And we welcome everyone into our language classes. Another important thing that I told the students today is, and I said that I would be telling you tonight, is that students who have proficiency in a language that they're not studying now at Witherspoon or at Charter or in Cranberry, and who think they would like to be studying this language when they come to the high school, your parents need to send me an email. Don't call me, send me an email and asking for an evaluation, and we'll set one up with the appropriate teacher here at the high school so that hopefully when you're sitting with the counselors, you'll have this recommendation in hand so your kids can get right into the correct level of language. So some of the children said, oh yes, my parents will get in touch with you tomorrow. So anytime is fine. Students may choose 2 languages. I'd said that before. We even have some who love language and they choose 3 languages. Choice is a big word at Princeton High School because, as you've seen, there's so many exciting courses in all the departments that sometimes it's hard to make a choice about what you want to do while you're here in just those 8 periods in the day. Yes, so students who are coming from schools other than JW, Charter, or Cranberry, if you would get in touch, parents, if you would get in touch with me so that we can do a language evaluation, and that would help if it's in place when you meet to have your counselor discussion. And then I wanted to just mention a little bit about ESL. So if your student is in ESL, you probably know, you may know that there's a state required test called the Access Test. And all English language learners need to take this in about March. We don't get the results until sometime in June. So we get the results after your students have met with the guidance counselors and set up a preliminary course of study. It may change if the scores on the Access say that your child may exit the program, then we have another set of courses for them, or if the Access results say that your student needs to remain in ESL. So that's all very individualized, working with our ESL teachers, Cranberry ESL teacher, and guidance with Mrs. Donovan. Okay, so thank you, and now Patrick Lenahan will come and talk about visual and performing arts.
Good evening. I'm Pat Lenahan. I'm the supervisor of the arts for the school district, and it's my pleasure to welcome you and your child to Princeton High School. This is a great place. I can't say enough good things about it. We have one of the most highly regarded arts programs in the country right here, and have truly exceptional teachers who will push your students to their maximum potential. We see evidence of this in all of our performances and art exhibitions and shows. We are really proud of the fact that there is a place for every student in our program. In every arts discipline, there's an introductory level course. And it's not necessarily an easy course, but it's a course that will meet students where they are and take them to their fullest potential. Students tend to take more than the required 5 credits, just like in other disciplines, and we have many students who take multiple arts courses for multiple years. Now, I will be honest with you, the PHS program of studies can be overwhelming. Some students want to take every course in the catalog, and they want to do it in their first year, and that's certainly not possible. And some students always ask me, can I take both choir and drama, art and band? And the answer is yes. If the question is, can I take art, drama, band, dance, computer science and everything? No, you can't do it all. You do have to make some choices. But it is possible to take more than one arts course, and I'm here tonight to kind of explain some of those choices to you. In visual art, there is one choice for incoming freshmen, and that is Studio Art 1. And Studio Art 1 is a course on the fundamentals and basic experiences in both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional art. We want all students to have a common experience to experience our upper level courses, so we ask that they all take Studio 1 and they will get instruction in drawing, painting, printmaking, and a variety of different sculpture mediums. And that is a full year course, and it will allow them to progress in both technique and in conceptual ideas. As I said, there is a sequence of critical skills that we have in our visual art program, so we don't permit jumping of levels, but we do begin college portfolio preparation during the sophomore year. So that's something to look forward to. Our teachers are wonderful at the differentiation that they practice and preach, and it is really, they meet every student where they are and take them to amazing levels in every single art course that we have. In the music department, there are 3 options. We have band, choir, and orchestra. Questions usually arise about the audition process. So let's start with the band program. We do require a placement audition for all students who are interested in taking a band class. We do this with all 8th graders at the 3 schools, JW, Charter, and Cranberry, and our band directors will visit those 3 schools and audition every single band student. If you're coming to us from another school, a private school or another school district, you can email Mr. Bonjovi to set up that audition. Because the band program is so exceptional, there is some competition for those slots, and some of that competition can be a little bit tough. but please be assured that you will be placed in the correct ensemble that will give you the most appropriate experience at this point in time. For orchestra, there are two options for freshmen, the repertoire orchestra or Sinfonia. Repertoire orchestra does not have an audition requirement, so if you'd like to be in the orchestra program and not go through the audition process, then just sign up for repertoire orchestra. If you would like to be in one of our auditioned orchestras, then you'll need to set up a private audition with Mr. Lauren, and his email address is on the screen behind me. For choir, it's even easier. There are two options, Chorale 1 and Chorale 2. They are both at the introductory level. Chorale 1 is for our sopranos and altos, and Chorale 2 is for our tenors and basses. No audition required, just sign up for the course. In theater arts, I wanted to give you a little bit of a history of our program. Many years ago, I'd say probably it's been about 7 or 8 years since we've gone in this new model. We had about 20 or 30 students in our productions and 4 classes that were loosely connected to our productions. We found that that wasn't the best way to do theater arts at Princeton High School. So what we decided to do was connect each one of our drama classes to a production. Therefore, everyone who is in that class would participate in the evening production. So it makes a better connection to the performance. And it also, instead of those same 20 or 30 students in every production, it puts 150 kids on our stage over the course of the year, which is wonderful. We've really been thrilled with this model. It gives us time to work on those skills during class. The acting, the verbal and nonverbal expression, and other skills that are then applied in the evening productions. And it also allows our athletes to participate more fully in the program in that much of the rehearsal takes place during the school day. You can see the full sequence of drama courses in our program of studies, but as a freshman, you are eligible for the Drama 1 class without an audition. Dance is an exciting class. Also, no audition required. It is a full-year course. We study dances from all around the world, from ballroom to Latin to contemporary, and there are opportunities for choreography, for students to create their own choreography, and this class can be repeated, just like all of our performing arts classes, from year to year, and they learn different dances each year. So I would invite you to come see a concert, a play, visit an art show. It will really help you to start to make those choices. And I want to welcome you again to Princeton High School and look forward to seeing you continue to grow in the arts over the next 4 years. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Dubinsky, who will now talk about PE and athletics.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Dubinsky. I'm the athletic director here at Princeton High School, and I am also the K-12 health and physical education supervisor. When your students come to us here as ninth graders, in order for them to be eligible for the second part of the freshman year for athletics, they have to obtain 15 credits at the mid-year point. So as they come in as freshmen, everyone is academically eligible to participate in our athletic program. All students who are registering for sports are required to do that online using our new online athletic registration system. So we piloted that this year at the middle school for the first time, and the family accounts that you created to participate in our athletic program at the middle school are the same family accounts you use when they come to the high school. So you use the same username and login. You don't even need to make another account. The physical forms for athletics that are printed out, you will take them to the doctor. They need to be completed entirely. And starting over the summer months for the fall, we will have scanning stations for parents who don't have the ability to scan those documents in at home. So there'll be a scanning station located at John Witherspoon Middle School if you have little ones at the middle school there. And if you're coming to the high school, there'll be a scanning station in the athletic office, which is right outside on the other side of this wall is the athletics office, and there'll also be a scanning station located in the attendance office, which is right near the main office. So we encourage you to bring a flash drive when you're going to scan your documents, and then you can plug that flash drive into our scanning stations. There'll be a person that'll assist you to make sure that the forms are completed correctly, and then you will leave with your flash drive. If you do not have one, we will provide one for you to take, and you'll just sign that you received one. All JW students will take the impact test at John Witherspoon in the spring. So they do take the impact test, which is a requirement for them to participate in our athletic program here at the high school. And once they turn 12 years old, you know it is a requirement at John Witherspoon Middle School. So they do take the test in June. They take the test in their science classes. And that test is good for 2 years. So they will need to take the impact test again at the end of their sophomore year, and we offer the test through the registration through the athletics website. So preseason begins really early in August. So football will start approximately August 3rd. Other sports will usually start around August 13th or 14th. And our coaches expect that the kids modify their vacation schedules so that they're there to participate in all the preseason practices. You can start registering for spring sports here at Princeton High School 90 days before the start date is when we usually open it up. So please be mindful of that. If you are coming from a Cranberry or the charter school, because we are importing all that data into the system, we ask that you do not try and register until after July 4th weekend, because then we do a rollover, so you'll actually show up in the correct grade level. I'd also like to mention option 2. As freshmen, all of your children will not be eligible to participate in option 2. If you don't know what option 2 is an option for your child to take so that they will get their physical education credits for the physical education class, but they will instead do an alternate pathway working with an out-of-district coach or an out-of-district trainer. Sometimes we have many students who are highly invested in ballet classes, so they will be excused from physical education class, and they'll log those hours, and they do an alternate pathway to get those physical education credits, which frees up some time for testing. I mean, not for testing, that frees up time for their studies and to study for their tests and other things like that of the such. Does anyone have any questions regarding our athletic program or physical education classes for freshmen? No? Terrific. Ms. Donovan, do you have anything you'd like to add? I think I'm the last person. Oh, you're up next. Terrific. Okay, so here's Ms. Donovan again. Thank you.
Okay. So now we've talked about these. I feel like this floor is going to collapse as I'm moving. Okay. Is it still on? Good. So now we talk about where you actually get to meet with your school counselor and select your courses. So for Cranberry, sorry it's a late night, that would be tomorrow. We're very excited the counselors are coming to the Cranberry School tomorrow. On January 22nd, they will go to charter school, and then the 24th, 28th, 30th, and the 2nd will go to JW Middle School. So through Cranberry and Charter, you should have set up an appointment either with Ms. Ekstrom or Ms. Donovan. And for the Sign Up Genius, you should have received that on Friday from Ms. Walters at JW Middle School. So if you've had any issues with that, please talk to your school counselor at your respective buildings. The other piece that I want to be clear about, it doesn't matter when you sign up for your course requests. Meaning, for Cranberry School, if they signed up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, or if your appointment is on February 2nd at 3:01 p.m., they are all collected into one section. We then build the sections from there. It does not matter what time. So I just don't want anybody to feel that perhaps they weren't able to get an early enough appointment, or maybe you're not able to meet one of these appointment dates. You can reach out to your counselor, still do your course selection, and in no way, shape, or form will it impact the courses that your child receives. So then course request verification letters will be available to you online in April. So that's the opportunity where perhaps you picked your courses, let's say tomorrow, and then your child talked to their friend and it turned out that they both want to take studio art together. That will be your opportunity to tell us, no, I know I said that we want to take engineering drawing, but really we want to take studio art. So you'll let us know at that point. And then, last but not least, because we received different placement changes, we will allow you one more opportunity in June to make a choice. So in June, you will receive your most up-to-date placements. At that time, we typically have our band and our orchestra placements as well one more time to look at those electives. At that point, that's when we close the schedule. And then making changes in the summer becomes increasingly more difficult because rooms and teachers and spaces are already assigned at that point. But again, just to be crystal clear, whether your appointment is at 8 a.m. tomorrow or the last appointment on the last day, they are all funneled in at the same time together. So it has absolutely no impact on course selection. Okay. So placement changes will be adjusted and may impact schedule choices. And what I mean by that is if your child was recommended for a plus class or a different placement, it could affect the amount of electives, etc. So those are conversations you can have with your teachers currently, as well as with your school counselor. And again, you'll receive that April and June course verification. And then final schedules will be made available prior to the start of school. So now this is where I always tell my rising freshmen that they get one leg up if they have an older sibling, because they will receive their schedule at orientation, which is a good 6 hours before we release it to the rest of the school. 6 whole hours, they'll know what teachers, what rooms, all of that information. So you can keep that in your back pocket for August. So again, review your program of studies, come prepared with all your questions. That's part of the reason that we're sharing all this information with you is you now will have a one-on-one appointment with your school counselor to address your child's own specific needs, wants, desires, and questions. Remind your child of their appointment. Sometimes they forget. Don't worry, the counselors are great at finding them in their class and dragging them down. And then there will be more information to come about exciting additional orientation events. The one that I do want to note is our new student orientation, which is for students. That's on Thursday, August 22nd. That's when they receive their schedule, 6 hours before the rest of the school. They will get to do a tour, meet with their school counselor one more time. They meet all of the assistant principals and our building principal, and also they get lunch. It's just a wonderful opportunity to really come together as the class of 2023. So to contact anyone that was here this evening, you can check our website, and to email any Princeton Public School employee, it's first name, last name at princetonk12.org. And our phone number, of course, is 609-806-4280. Thank you so much for coming this evening. Welcome, class of 2023, and welcome to Princeton High School.